You cannot be paying rent in my house. That was the first thing I heard when I stepped into the room. The words weren't loud, but they struck like thunder. It wasn't the kind of thing you expect to hear when you visit your aunt. I stood frozen by the doorway, unsure whether to announce my presence or quietly retreat. The tension in the air was so thick it felt like I could touch it. Mama was sitting on the couch, her back stiff, hands clenched into fists on her lap. Her face was a mix of emotions, confusion, disbelief, and a flicker of something else. Was it fear? Across the room sat a man, calm and steady, with the kind of quiet confidence that only comes from knowing exactly who you are. I recognized him, but only vaguely. He looked older, sharper, and more composed than the last time I'd seen him. "Who do you think you are?" Mama's voice cracked as she spoke. "Coming here to talk nonsense. I don't care who you are, you cannot tell me what to do in my own house." The man didn't raise his voice. He didn't even look angry. He just sat there, his words soft but cutting through the room like a blade. "Mama, this is not your house. This is my house. You cannot be paying rent in my house." It all started many years ago, back in the village, before life dragged us to the city. Mama and her husband, my uncle Ebuka, were well respected. They weren't wealthy, but they were comfortable. Uncle Ebuka was the kind of man who always made time for others, the type of person you could rely on. Mama, though, well, Mama was different. She had a sharp tongue and an even sharper sense of what she considered her rights. Then one day, Uncle Ebuka's sister, Auntie Ada, came to visit with her 9-year-old son, Ebuka. Auntie Ada was a widow, struggling to keep her son fed and clothed after her husband passed away. She'd come to ask for help, for a chance to give her boy a better life. "Brother," she said, kneeling in front of Uncle Ebuka, "I have no one else to turn to. Ebuka is a good boy. He deserves better. Please, take him. Train him like your own. I can't afford to send him to school, but you can. You've always said we're family." Uncle Ebuka didn't hesitate. "He's my nephew," he said firmly. "He will stay with us, and I'll do everything I can for him." But Mama wasn't having it. "We have our own children to worry about," she argued, her voice sharp. "Why should I raise someone else's son? Do you think money grows on trees?" "His family, my blood," Uncle said. "This is the right thing to do." But Mama didn't care about right or wrong. She made her conditions clear. "If he stays here, he won't go to school with my sons. He won't eat at the same table. He will not get the same treatment. He is not my child, and he will never be." Uncle Ebuka tried to reason with her, but she refused to budge. He loved his wife and didn't want to create conflict, so he made a painful compromise. He found another family in the village who was willing to take Ebuka in. They were kind but poor, and Uncle paid for Ebuka to learn a trade, electricity work. It wasn't the same as sending him to school, but it was something. Mama didn't object, she was just glad Ebuka was out of her house. 15 years later, life had changed for everyone. Uncle Ebuka passed away, and Mama moved to the city. Her children were grown but struggling themselves. They managed to scrape together enough money to rent a small apartment for her in a decent estate. It wasn't much, but it was better than the village. As for Ebuka, no one knew where he was or what had become of him. At least, not until that day. "You think you can scare me?" Mama said, her voice rising as she glared at the man standing before her. "I don't care how much money you have now. This is my home, and I'm not leaving." Ebuka, because now I realized it was him, didn't flinch. His calm made the room feel even heavier. "Mama, I'm not here to scare you. You're not leaving. I'm just saying, you don't have to pay rent. This house, this entire estate, belongs to me. I watched as Mama's face changed. At first, she looked confused, like she didn't understand the words. Then the realization hit, and her eyes widened. What do you mean? Ebuka didn't move from where he stood. He explained how he had started as an apprentice, working under electricians in the city. He talked about the years of saving every naira he earned, about the risks he took, the long nights, the contracts he fought for. One big government contract changed everything. He became a contractor, then an investor, and eventually a landlord. And now, he said, gesturing to the house around him, this estate is mine. Every house, every room. And you're living here because I allowed it. Mama's hands trembled, and I thought she might cry. But Mama never cries. Instead, she straightened her back and glared at him. So what now? You've come to humiliate me. To throw me out. Is that what you want? Ebuka shook his head. No, Mama. I'm not throwing you out. I just wanted you to know the truth. Stay as long as you want. But you don't have to pay rent anymore. It doesn't make sense for you to pay rent in my house. The room was silent after that. I don't think Mama had anything left to say. Ebuka stood there for a moment longer, then turned and left. I watched him go, my chest tight with emotions I couldn't name. Mama stayed on the couch, staring at her hands. She didn't speak for the rest of the day. I wondered if she was thinking about the boy she had refused to let into her home, the boy who had grown up to become the man who owned the roof over her head. Life is strange like that. Sometimes, the tables turn in ways no one could ever predict.